I will start off by saying cosplay Billy will remain the way that he is, but we'll have that extra lore in the background, in the back of our minds, but the demeanor in which Billy will be will pretty much remain the same, I guess. Billy will probably be like, oh, we ain't gonna talk about that, you know what I mean? We're not gonna talk about that. You know what I mean? Yeah, so cosplay Billy will hit different, but Sims Billy is a whole other animal now. With that said, the overtone of his toxic masculinity and sleutness and stuff will remain, but there's going to be it's a layer, and it'll all be explained when I reveal everything, and it's going to have much deeper meaning. It's been stonified, okay? It has officially been stonified. Well, yes, but now I have, since yesterday morning when I ended, and then through to the afternoon, and then as soon as I woke up, I've been working on his lore in Sims, and I have created the Adonis Legacy and many other things that will branch from that. So now we're segued in. I will now start the revealing process. Okay.
Wow, what a great audience.
We are sat. So I'm going to start by reading something. Okay? All right, chat. Let me explain what Billy actually is. Okay? Now again, this is Sims lore. Okay? Billy Baddysin is not just some reckless rock star making babies across the map. Billy is the current Adonis. The Adonis is not just a title, it's a mantle. Every 1,000 years, the Adonis chooses a vessel. A man born sterile, a man who doesn't even know he cannot reproduce. Beautiful, charismatic. Basically, before I read on, I want to proclaim this. Billy in Sims being the Adonis, I have now added, by stonifying it, I have now added a divine masculine aspect to Billy. But I want to say this before I read on. Billy's toxic behavior, his demeanor, and all of those things actually have a purpose and a reason. And his whole, like, shallowness, detachedness, toxic masculinity is actually a cover for what he really is. I'm going to continue, but I wanted to give you guys that caveat, because we think, because the toxic aspect of him is what makes it funny, it makes it entertaining, you know, it makes it really comedic, you know, and stuff like that. However, there's going to be this underlining lore going on in the background that is like very special, and that actually elevates him to a type of like a demigod. Okay. So every 1,000 years, the Adonis chooses a vessel, a man born sterile, a man who doesn't even know he can reproduce. Beautiful, charismatic, magnetic, chosen. When the Adonis chooses him, the sterility reverses. Immortality activates. This will explain his immortality in a way. The compulsion awakens. All of his children, born sterile, on purpose. The gift does not multiply. It concentrates. The lineage expands in numbers, but not in fertility. Only one can carry the mantle, and that's Billy. Billy is immortal. He cannot stop reproducing. He outlives everyone. He loves intensely in the moment, but he loves hardest after they're gone. That's why he builds a monument, and I will explain the monument here in a minute. That's why he keeps records. That's why he records the names. He is not just stacking numbers. He is preserving eras. Now here's where it gets bigger. Every 100 babies, we select one. Every 10 selected, they compete in their own world. So the sons of Adonis. Okay. One becomes a father tier son of Adonis. In other words, he can then go to his own world and continue in the same way that Billy does. And eventually, the strongest sons may challenge Billy himself. The trial of the father for immortality, for the mantle. Because Billy is the godfather. He is the demigod. Like, he carries the flame. Okay? For myth, and yes, Billy will compete to keep it. And he will probably win. Because he is the godfather, Adonis. He does not disappear. Hold on. He oversees the lineage. He judges the tournaments. He chooses when the cycle shifts. We will have multiple eras, multiple Adonis legacies, but Billy remains the prime. This is no longer just a baby challenge. This is a 1,000-year dynasty system. This is the Adonis cycle, and we're just getting started. Okay, and it says, these are just some bullet points. This explains why he doesn't raise the kids, why the numbers matter, why tournaments matter, why he's immortal, why the monument exists, why he's detached but mourns deeply, why you can branch saves, and why this can go infinitely. Okay? So, this opens up a way for also us to have a say in the Sons of Adonis tournaments. Like, you guys will be able to have favorites. Okay? And have them then compete in their own worlds. Okay? Now, as far as the monument, I will explain that now. So, in it, there's a vacation world called Granite Falls in Sims. And with a cheat, I can build in it. I have plans to make this world, or this place will be probably the main place that I will put sacred sites for whichever world we're playing with. Be it the Iron Age, you know, the Vikings and stuff. I'll put Uppsala there. And their festival grounds and sacrificial grounds. I will put that in Granite Falls. But for the Adonis legacies, we're going to make, and I'm going to start working on this today. We're going to make a monument and a tomb / archive mausoleum for the mothers and the babies. And it'll be private, it'll be underground, and it'll be a place where Billy will go and add to the records, the Hall of Records, where we will have we'll have a symbolic monument where he can fire dance, he can meditate, we can give offerings to the monument, and then he can go underground, like say here and there, you know, like in the last session I think we had like 6 or 7 babies born in a matter of an 10 or 11 hour session. So throughout that gives us also something to do after, like, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5, however many, what it feels right. We go to Granite Falls, and he adds to the Hall of Records, and then there is an aspect to Billy now that because of Candy, he now has a necromancer ability. So that means that because of his immortality, there's an aspect of life and death attached to him. So that means that he also values the lives of his mothers and his children, the mothers of his children and his children, right? He will be in charge of their, you know, how they're handled, right? Their gravestones, all that stuff. But then they will also have their own tombs of remembrance inside the Hall of Records in the Mausoleum. I'm going to, because you can only have one object for a Sim's death, and it has to either be, it either can be presented as an urn or a gravestone. And that's the object that you can interact with, and you can like mourn them, and you can do a skull offering and light candles and stuff. These will exist in graveyards because I want the families to be able to mourn them. So Billy is not hoarding and collecting them. He's, you know, he allows them to be mourned by the families, but he keeps, he has another spot for them in his mausoleum, Hall of Records. So when they're alive, they will have like color-coded crystals. Okay, and this will be like, there'll be like a magical symbolism to it, where it almost gives, we want to say like them being able to be a lover of Billy, the Adonis, enhances their life. It's a gift. He's literally like a gift to women. Okay. So I know, right? So do you see what we're doing here? We're like, the whole like baby counter and the seemingly toxic behavior is all funny and all of that at the surface. But then when you know the deeper lore, it's actually all explained in a very cool way. But it still allows us to like laugh and just be like, tisk tisk. You know what I mean? But when we realize that Billy's actually like a fucking demigod, and this is all actually just part of the shtick. So when they're alive, they have crystals that are, you know, maybe colored or whatever, and it actually enhances their life. Being chosen by Billy is like a gift. Being able to reproduce with him is a gift, but it's also a curse because the children that he makes with them cannot reproduce. So the bloodline ends there, which also is part of his curse. He himself, the Adonis and the sons of Adonis, the chosen ones, are responsible for the bloodline continuing, and that's the only way it can happen. Okay? When the mothers or the children pass away, their crystals turn, I think if there's an obsidian one or a black one, it'll be black. Okay? To represent that they are passed on. Okay? What else? Oh, so part of the side effects of the gift of Adonis, meaning the one who holds the immortality, right? In this case, we're just going to talk about Billy. He is immortal, but with conditions. He's still human. He eats. He does all the human things. He feels, you know, he lives like a human, and he has to reproduce. He is sustained through intimacy, through reproduction, through vitality, you know, through music, through hedonism, through fornication, through serial love affairs. That is what actually keeps him immortal. He has to engage with it, or else he will age and die. Does it all make sense? So, for the Adonis Legacy for Sims, it starts with Billy. We don't know who gave him the flame. We don't know who. Maybe it can be revealed. It can be created later. But for now, we don't know who gave him the flame or how long Billy's been alive. Or for all we know, he's only just been activated, which I think that makes sense. He's only just been activated since we started playing with him. So basically, before we started playing with him, he went through a process of being chosen, right? And by the way, this is the first time in all of my Stoniverse that I have written or created a male-centered character. All of my other characters are women in all of my Stoniverse. All of them. So this may seem perhaps to some that like, oh, this is weird. Like, you know, this seems like off brand, right? But I think it's cool because Billy is me as a man, but he's become something else. So, you know what I mean? So, yeah. And like I said, the cosplay version of Billy will remain satire and comedic and all of that. But when we do Sims, we'll have all of this hidden layer. And when it comes up in cosplay nights, it'll just be like, you know, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, he's gonna be, because it's not something that people know about. It's gonna be like, it's gonna be hidden from the world in a way, if that makes sense. Like, people don't know that he is what he is, you know. And as far as the monument and stuff, I'm gonna try to make it to where it's mostly off limits, and only Billy can go there. But it could be like something that's maybe whispered about around town, but nobody goes there. Nobody knows what it really is or anything. You know what I mean? So what do you guys think? Let me know what you think. I'm really curious. I was really excited to reveal all of this. So one of the things that this helps is this will help with oversaturation of gene pool. Because like literally at this rate, the way Billy's going, if his progeny were able to reproduce, then eventually everybody will be related, and that save will be cooked. Oh my god, that's fucking funny. Oh god, I fucking love you. Yeah, I want to know what you guys think. I think this is a really good setup for Sims so that it doesn't just get boring too. I think it adds a really cool like emotional and spiritual layer. We'll get to see Billy in his like ritual garb without the cowboy hat, because he looks really good like that. But and you know, and it's like, you know, and it's also the way I'm going to build it is very symbolic. Above ground is the monument, the Adonis monument, with fire and stuff. That represents his surface level. But underground is the recording, the memories, the archive, the immortality, everything he is creating and leaving behind, everything he's outliving, right? And I think that's very poetic. This is the first time I'm creating a male main character where it actually feels right for me. Even though he has like a toxic level, but this also stonifies it to where it won't just get stale for me. Because you guys know me. Once I stonify something, you know, it gets deep, you know, and stuff like that. And I can't keep things super shallow for too long. It's just not my nature as a creator. I can't commend you enough for how you take a grain of sand and build empires like this. Thank you so much. Honestly, like I literally, you know how, I don't think you were there when I ended the stream. Yeah. This morning, but I was talking about how it was like, you know, what's going to end up happening? Like he's going to accidentally try to hit on a daughter of his eventually. And, you know, it's like, I realized then that we were going to have, an oversaturation of gene pool issue. And also there's a sim cap limit for a save file. So I was like, how do I resolve this? So I started cooking, and that's when I created all of this. I didn't go to sleep for yet another several hours because of that. And then I didn't sleep long enough. And when I got up, when I woke up, I really wanted to keep sleeping, but my mind just started going, and I started cooking. So I just woke up anyway, and I immediately started working on it to prepare for this live and to prepare to present it to you guys. So, and like I said, what's really exciting is we'll be able to have tournaments, right? Sons of Adonis tournaments. Also, they'll be able to eventually compete with Billy for the flame and to become the Godfather. But like low key, no one's gonna be able to take it away from Billy because we can't have that. We're also going to when we do get to that point where the sons of Adonis start populating their own worlds, we will always continue with Billy in this era, meaning when he caps out and we'll just go to another save and we can go back and we can visit saves that are capped and see how things are. We can just play in there, see what's going on and stuff. But yeah, it'll be interesting. But I will keep Billy going as well because obviously he's the main, right? But this kind of sets up for like infinite gameplay, and it also creates a system where you guys get to also have a say in who gets chosen. I mean, it's literally going to be one son out of 100 children created, and a tournament won't happen until we have 10 chosen sons. So that gives us a lot. That we're talking about literally thousands of babies that will be created. I hope you guys realize that. Will you show some game? I will. We're actually going to have a funeral here soon, and then we're going to start building the Adonis monument and like monument temple and mausoleum. I just saw what you guys were talking about with the filter and Rusa. Like that is so legit. That is so legit. But see, sometimes that's how it happens. Like Rusa was created with me just being like, oh, let's mess around with this filter, and like I really didn't even give two shits about it. But she ended up being a freaking sensation and immediately gained her own cult following within my followers and attracted a bunch of new followers that are loyal to her. And now that's happening with Billy. So I had no idea, and that's how it works sometimes. Sometimes it's the characters that you're just messing around with and you really don't give a shit about, and you're like, this is just satire, or it's just tinkering, dabbling, and it becomes its own thing, and now we're here.